pleasure to see so many of you at the AACC convention. Like our own Dream Institute, it's such a major, big operation. It was hard to even find all of you in the hallways, but I know you were there, and thank you so much for advocating for Achieving the Dream while you were there and promoting all the good work you've done. I'm going to ask the other HED staff who are on the call to introduce themselves, and this includes Sarah Hollister, who's going to be the key person today in making sure that all the technology works as well as we hope it can. So I'll stop there and invite the other staff on the line to say who they are.
Hi, this is Rachel Singer. I'm the Vice President for Community College Relations and Applied Research, and I'm really looking forward to today's webinar. I'm really glad that the folks who are going to be part of this webinar have this kind of experience that they can share with others, and I'm delighted that the people who have decided to dial in and listen are going to be part of the conversation as well, so I'm really looking forward to this.
Hi, and I'm Sarah Hollister. I think many of you may remember me since I presented on the Walmart Customer Completion Grants last call, and I will be hobbling through my first running of the webinar today, so I appreciate anybody's patience that you might have. So we're going to get started because we do have a good, rich presentation, and we want to make sure we have time for questions. So here's the agenda. Basically, we're going to briefly go over how to use GoToWebinar. We'll do leading by example, dive right into our presentation on K through 12 school and district partnerships, and then go on to Achieving the Dream Business. So I'm just going to take a few minutes to explain how to use the GoToWebinar technology. In particular, I'm going to show you a few of the features that allow us to make it a more interactive conversation. So each one of you should see the control panel on your screen right now. If you do not, it is because it has been minimized, and you can pull it back out by going to the Grab tab, which hides and shows the control panel. There's also an attendee list, so you can see the other participants on the call. In terms of asking questions, there's two ways. There's the hand feature, which is the little hand icon that everyone has on their control panel. Could everyone just practice raising their hand so that I know that everyone sees it and knows how to use it? Seeing a few hands raised. There we go. Okay. Great. It seems like most people can find the hand icon. Great. All right. The next thing that I just want to point out is the question pane. So if you're having questions, and I'm looking at a few right now, there's that question pane. Just write your question in there, and we will answer it that way via chat if it's a personal question, or if it's a question that you have for the entire group, I will be able to read it out to the entire group. Okay? Finally, in the past we have had some audio trouble. If for some reason you're having trouble, you want to make sure that, one, you're not muted on your personal phone, or perhaps you need to enter the audio pin that is displayed at the beginning when you first log on to the webinar. And then in a worst case scenario, you can always hang up and call back in, and just be sure that you enter the audio pin. Okay? With that in mind, I think we should go directly to our presentation.
Actually, we're going to leading by example.
Oh, we're going to leading by example. Thanks.
If the screen decides
to move, there we go. All right. And okay, stop moving. Good. So for leading by example today, we just wanted to recognize some of the leader colleges that are doing a great job of communicating their ATD work and success. Communicating and outreach is a really important part of being an ATD Leader College. So we wanted to call out a few people or a few colleges. One is El Paso Community College for participating in the Grant Makers for Educator Urban Study Tour in El Paso, Texas. And El Paso Community College was a central part of the agenda and highlighting their early college high schools, which was part of their ATD reform work. Another is Valencia Community College for hosting site visits for AACC convention attendees. And of course, all of the leader colleges that presented at AACC about your reform work, we thank you for that. There's also a great article in the Arkansas Times about Pulaski Community College and Phillips Community College, and they're achieving the dream work. And then finally, we just wanted to congratulate all of the ATD leader colleges that were part of the 120 institutions named by the Austin Institute as one of the top U.S. community colleges. Great. So now we will start with the presentation. I'm going to ask Donna, Elmore, and Warren Yarbrough to introduce themselves and get started.
Okay, good morning. And I'm going to introduce myself, and then Warren can introduce himself. I am Vice President of Academic Affairs at Orangeburg-Calhoun Technical College, and have worked for a long time with the middle college concept here.
And I'm Warren Yarbrough. I'm Dean of the Online College, and also working with getting our middle college accredited by an organization called ECP, and I'll talk a little bit more about middle colleges later on.
All right. As we move on into the presentation, and I am assuming, do I have control of this, or do you?
Technically, I do.
All right. I'm going to let you move on to the first page then of the presentation. I'd like to tell you just a little bit about our middle college so that you know the frame of reference that we're using here. Many campuses will have a middle college or an early college on their own college campus. We have a middle college that exists across many of our high schools as well as our campus. So it's a very different kind of concept, and because it is different, it has taken a great deal of coordination, probably more so than if it were just on our campus. Because of the rural nature of the counties that we serve, it was almost impossible to offer the same types of services all across our service area. And so early on we made the decision that in conjunction with our school district partners, that one, we knew that instituting a middle college would be very difficult under those circumstances, but two, that way we were not in competition for the same students. So what we have is, at this time, we have a middle college where some of the students come to our campus from our local school districts. Some we teach on their campuses, and we send instructors to their campus. So we've got a variety of things, and we do that across and actually serve 10 school districts. So it ends up being a large coordination effort to do that. And that brings me to my first slide, which is how do you initiate a K-12 relationship? And with if you'll back up one slide, please. If the K-12 relationship is very difficult up front because we all want to do it, but the big thing is that the logistics between K-14 have to be worked out. And so one of the things that we found was very important was that we started out at the top. We started out with our superintendents, but we tried to get a committed insider in each of those school districts to work with us to build a program. We approached all of it very much like the Perkins model as a program of study, so that we were building this across the continuum, the K-14 continuum. And we also approached it as a sales job. If any of you have ever been in sales, you'll recognize that committed insider terminology, because I was in the software business for 15 or 20 years. But it is very necessary to have somebody who owns the relationship, and you have to sell it by what's in it for them. And we sold it to our partners by stressing, one, it helped us to establish the programs of study across the K-14 continuum, which they had to do for their CTE Perkins funding, but it also established the college readiness aspect of it. And we provide, we have really promoted this, that no matter whether they're going to a 4-year college or a 2-year college, this whole process of being admitted and being part of middle college promotes college readiness across the board. So if you'll advance to the next slide. So that was sort of the sales model that we used in approaching our superintendents. So who do you approach and why? We started, as I said, at the assistant superintendent or the superintendent level, and with our deans, because there's a great deal of coordination that has to go into this. And if you don't have buy-in at the top, it's very easy to get bogged down in the logistics and the roadblocks that present themselves all along the way. We also involved our principals and our center, when I say center directors, our career center directors, because we have 2 career centers in our area that we serve. And then obviously our faculty, our guidance counselors at the high school level, and student services. But we worked down the chain. One of the things that helped us in getting started is we also had an education and business alliance that we started, and we used that as a mechanism to create a board that we could work across and work out details. We also provide in-service for our guidance counselors and student service personnel, and a big part of that is how do you approach college readiness, and then obviously working out the details of the program of study. And the schedules were very, very difficult but instrumental, because it all falls apart if you can't coordinate schedules. All right, if you'll advance to the next slide, please. So what are the challenges? We obviously found that the timing, the scheduling, the budgeting, all of that was a huge effort on our part. One of the things that we did to pull our program together, K-14, is we instituted an online graduation plan, or an individual graduation plan, which included any of the dual credit courses that could be offered. We also addressed policy issues in our state that really helped to get some of this off the ground. Things like a college credit course can equal, a 3-hour college credit can equal 1 high school unit. Also, college credit courses that were at any associate degree level can be in our state approached as an AP weighting. So all of those helped us in selling this and working out the details, because the policies allowed there to be an incentive on both sides to work out the scheduling, which was the biggest roadblock. Budgeting, of course, it was a problem for us and still continues to be. We're fortunate that we have some lottery tuition assistance money that we can make available to assist with our high school, middle college partners. But we still discount tuition for them, and we also approached our foundation to provide scholarships for free and reduced price lunch students in those districts where the district did not pay the tuition. Once we worked out the schedule and we moved on to, okay, how are we really doing, that is probably where some of the big things fall apart. Okay, what do you do when students that have great grades suddenly are not scoring college ready? How do you join forces to make certain that you're getting them college ready? Because that can't be done by the college alone. How do you create time in the school day? How do you create a structure for college readiness as well as the taking of college courses. And then how do you share that data up and down the chain? One of the things that we have found is that it's very important to stress to your people, no matter which side of this you're on, you have to find that middle ground to work from. And sharing of data was one of those interesting things for us. We could fuss about the fact that students weren't college ready, but if we didn't make the high schools aware of it and then try to work with them to do something about it, nothing would happen. The same thing is true of, and most all of you work with Perkins students, with CTE students. And the same thing is true on their side. They need to know from a Perkins evaluation perspective how many of their students actually are college ready and what courses they score in to when they go to college. So we found that making data sharing a priority is, one, it's a hard thing to do, but it's a very necessary thing to do. And as we've approached the middle college accreditation side, Warren has found that it's also an important thing in making certain that we're all on the same page. I think the other thing that we have found is, and this is where that committed insider is so important, is that nobody really owns college readiness. And I got fired off of a state level committee one time for saying that, but it is true. High schools are focused on exit exams. They're focused on average SAT scores and getting kids into college that are really planning on going to college. The typical community college student, though, may easily fall through the cracks. And so the actual placement aspect of college readiness is not something that our high schools are aware of or that even enter into their daily consideration. So that piece of it becomes a very important challenge and one that we still are working on almost daily in our efforts with middle college. The last thing before I turn this over to Warren is on college readiness. Our next slide is really, it is a benefit to both parties, and it's not something that you can just suddenly say, hey, now we're going to start a middle college. College readiness and the ability to move and offer a middle college actually has to start much earlier. Our individual graduation plans start at 8th grade, but we're actually talking with our colleges and with our Education and Business Partnership about how do you create a college-going culture across our school districts. And I think that many times the colleges can work with K-12 to address a lot of those barriers. We can make certain that, as your PowerPoint here points out, that we use uniform tools, that we have a systemized approach, that we really do data analysis and early remediation. And I'd like to just share with you what we have standardized on in our middle college partnership. And one of those is that we test at 8th grade using Explore, which is an ACT product. That will designate for us all 8th grade students in our service area that are not yet ready for college, or that are not predicted, to be ready for college unless some intervention occurs. We pulled in ACT as our partner in that, and we provide remediation software tied to those score reports for our middle college partners. We also test again for the majority of the students at the 10th grade with the ACT product plan. And then we're using Compass as our, and let me back up a second, Plan does essentially the same thing. Both Explore and Plan will also have as a component a career exploration tool, career assessment, but they also do the prediction of college readiness. And then we use at the junior level and at the senior level Compass, which is our placement tool, which is an ACT product. And for our students that are not planning on going on to college at this time in high school, we use WorkKeys. So we've got a consistent and systemized way of looking at our data and sharing data across the continuum. And that's been a big, big plus. I think the biggest thing to remember as you go into this is that if you do not address college readiness, you will always be just addressing that top group of students who would go to college without our help. And we feel that if you're really approaching a middle college, that you need to really focus on getting all students to a level where they can go on to college, or they can at least hit the proper certification levels to get a job. Okay.
Got it. All right. Sarah, if you can go ahead and move on to the next slide. Okay. Again, I'm Warren Yarbrough, and as Donna alluded throughout, probably the most logical outgrowth of any K-12 relationship is the building of a middle college. And I'm not going to bore you by reading everything on this busy slide here, but if you notice, we've been doing middle college work about 15 years. We started in 1996 on a very small scale, one class, which is a Math 110 or college algebra class. I don't think that one went too very well. And in one high school, we expanded that a little bit the next year to about 4 classes. By now, what we're doing is about 83 classes in a variety of settings, off-campus high school sites. Some of our students come here to our campus, private schools, 4 different school districts, and currently what we're trying to do is expand out to some of the smaller schools, especially in the area, with classes in the online format. Okay, Sarah? And these are just some numbers of our students served. If you notice, those have gone up. Of course, those are duplicated numbers. Like for 2010, 2011, I think our actual student count is what, roughly around 500 students, roughly, Donna. But these would be students like who are counted twice, so for English 101 in the fall and English 102 in the spring, that kind of thing. But if you notice, the number of credit hours earned has dramatically gone up. 2007, 1,291 to now currently 2,809, providing everybody passes, of course. All right, next slide. One thing about the conducting the middle college is you probably can think of it best as being kind of a college within the college. It has its own staff structure. I mean, there has to be admission processes worked out with their own policies there, and a special person designated for that. Counseling, providing support services such as library usage, things like that. So it does have its own staff structure, the smaller one, but then the bigger one. And those policies, of course, mirror our own, but they have to be specialized in certain cases here as well. It also involves a degree of professional development. For example, I mean, ours instructors, most of them are basic college instructors. They have very little background with dealing with high school students, so they have to be provided with that kind of mentality there. And the high school instructors, they have to work with liaisons to make sure they understand the college policies, the course content, the assessment methods, making sure that everything is taught on the appropriate level of rigor, that kind of thing. So site visits are involved here to make sure that the quality and course content and assessment, there's some consistency there. Okay, next slide, Sarah. I'm not quite sure what the overall cost would be for running a middle college. I'm sure it's not cheap.
It's hard to actually tie down those numbers, and sometimes I like to avoid thinking about it. Our middle college does not pay for itself because we discount tuition, but we probably lose around $100,000 or so a year on, if we looked at it in terms of pure expense versus revenue alone. But if you follow the fact that so many of those students come to us, and it also is a big economic development issue for us, because we were saying yesterday we probably never go into an economic development presentation with new industry that someone does not mention our middle college.
And of course, it wouldn't be just our cost, it would also be the district cost for getting their students here on a day in and day out basis, that kind of thing as well. And a couple little kind of hidden issues and concerns, of course. If the students come here to our campus, that's not really that big of a deal other than setting up special times for sections for them. But in some cases, we have to send out our teachers to the off-campus sites. And of course that involves faculty loading. And if someone's teaching a class from 9 to 10 and they got to go off campus, then they can't immediately get back. You have to give them some break time there with that. So that prevents you from scheduling full use of a faculty member. And mentioning faculty, I think it also has to be mentioned here that the strongest faculty need to be used for doing something like this. We try to adjunct or two here and there. That's probably not the best route to take. So it's not just faculty, but it's also some of your best faculty. And again, qualified high school instructors teaching the courses in the schools, we have to make sure we double check on that for accreditation purposes.
As your one last thing just to add to that, where the faculty loading issue has been the most problematic has been in the technical areas, where you have labs and long labs very often associated with those. This year at one of the career centers, I ended up hiring a full-time engineer to teach pre-engineering courses there for that very reason.
Okay, Sarah. And of course some benefits. They earn credit while completing high school. Students do develop skills that college and career readiness here once again. Okay, Sarah? See, my time is running out. And the last thing to point out, we're currently involved this year with getting our middle college accredited. There's an association out there that I would invite everyone to take a look at, NACEP. It stands for National Association of Concurrent Enrollment Partnerships, kind of a long title there. There you have a website, nacep.org, and they review your middle college by the following 5 standards. They look at curriculum, faculty, students, assessment, and evaluation. And if you go to their website, they have a downloadable standards booklet that details everything with the assessment. And even if you don't plan on getting your middle college accredited, it's still nice to take a look at what's out there. Okay, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I know there's a lot of rich information on the slides, and I will be sending out the PowerPoint afterwards so everyone will have a chance to read over them. I now want to turn it over to Kimberly McKay, who's the Interim Dean of Enrollment Services at South Texas College. Kimberly?
Hi, thank you, Sarah. Again, my name is Kim McKay. I do serve as the Interim Dean of Enrollment Services at South Texas College. And, you know, as we learned today, dual credit programs often serve as the foundation for increasing the educational attainment rate of the region. In South Texas, they provide students from all quartiles in our high schools an opportunity to earn college credit, and in some cases earn a degree or certificate before they even graduate from high school. In our area, this credential is critical in transforming the region into a college-going and college-completing culture. We all know that as educational attainment increases, so does the earning power. Moreover, increased educational attainment increases our region's ability and potential to compete in the global economy. Right now I wanted to share with you just a snapshot of our dual credit programs. We do have what we call traditional dual credit, and then we also have selective dual credit programs. The traditional dual credit is delivered at high schools across the region, and it does include both academic and technical coursework. Like OC Tech, we work very, very closely with the schools to identify or place qualified credentialed faculty at our high schools. Our early college high schools include the standalone model, a comprehensive model, and a school within a school model. The goal of the early college high schools in South Texas is to facilitate completion of an associate degree prior to high school graduation. This program is selective and it is competitive, but it serves a low socioeconomic and first-generation student population by design. One of the selective programs that I didn't include on this particular slide is our academy programs. This is a program that requires students to go through a competitive application process to be placed in an engineering, medical science, or computer science academy. Students in this particular program attend their comprehensive high school in the morning, and then they're enrolled as full-time students at one of our campuses in the afternoon. Again, the goal is to earn an associate degree prior to high school graduation. And we can't forget our at-risk students. The fifth-year senior and recovery programs that you see referenced on this slide is really designed to help students who didn't graduate from high school for whatever reason. It could be because of the high-stakes testing in the state of Texas. It could also be because they are a couple of credits shy in order to meet the graduation requirements. So these programs are designed to encourage students not only to come back for the remediation and credit recovery, but also to enroll in a college course for which they qualify, and something that they're interested in, something that could transfer into the workplace or into a degree very easily. And then finally, contract training is available for students who don't meet course prerequisites when they are in a traditional dual enrollment setting. High schools do contract with the college to deliver instruction that satisfies a high school degree or graduation requirement. This is typically for our career and technical education courses, as our colleges have robust facilities and experienced faculty that can provide a rich learning experience for our students. Tuition and fees in all of our programs are waived. However, some high schools, very few, do require students to pay a nominal fee to participate in the program. Sarah, if you want to go to the next slide. As we learned from OC Tech, relationships are critical to the success of programs and our students. In our case, both academic and student affairs work very closely to ensure that qualified students have every opportunity to earn college credit while they're still in high school. In simple terms, academic affairs establishes the schedule and manages the MOUs, and student affairs facilitates assessment, enrollment, and registration processes for all students that we serve. School districts work very, very closely with my colleagues in academic affairs, who I think are on the phone today, to identify qualified credential faculty who go through the same hiring process as our adjunct faculty. In addition, school districts must provide the textbooks for our students taking college courses on their own campuses, and they will pay for college faculty that are placed on a high school campus to deliver dual credit instruction. Qualified credentialed high school faculty do receive a small stipend from the college if they're teaching college credit on their high school campus. Professional development, as we've learned today, is integral to the success of our dual credit program. It ensures that dual credit faculty are engaged and are informed. Professional development opportunities are designed on our campuses with dual credit faculty in mind, and the program is very respectful of the high school calendar and any type of professional development that's going on in the high schools at the beginning of the school year. Engagement and information sharing is not limited, however, to the high school dual credit faculty. Our Summer Leadership Institute is a 3-week paid internship program for teachers throughout K through 12. We also include counselors and administrators who are interested in learning more about colleges, programs, and services, and how we can contribute to a college-going, college-ready culture on their campuses. As you guys know, we must continue to provide efforts to ensure that all students are college-ready and workplace-ready. If we move on to the next slide, I'll go really quickly through some success measures that we've discovered in working with the university in our region. A lot of people dismiss dual credit programs as something that's watered down and don't prepare students for higher education, but what we found is very different. On average, entering freshmen that go to the University of Texas Pan American have 22 hours of credit with them. They bring 22 hours of credit with them. They are 2.7 times more likely than their traditional or native students to stay at UTPA after their first year. And finally, they're 8.3 times more likely to graduate within 4 years. So you can see that they're taking very strong skills from a very rigorous program onto the university. And I think my time's up. Sarah, do you want to take over from here?
Sure. Thank you so much, Kimberly. That was really informative, and I think we have some really good things to moderate questions about. So I'd like to open it up for questions. You can raise your hand if you'd like, and I'll unmute your line, or you can type in questions in the question pane, and I will read it out loud, and then our presenters will be able to answer. Any questions out there? Oh, I see a hand raised there. Teresa Brewer, I'm going to unmute your line.
Oh, that was just when we were testing.
Oh, sorry about that. You don't have a question that you want to ask?
No, sorry.
That's all right. I will just go ahead and mute you again. Okay, I see. I'm hoping that these aren't left over from muting, but Peg, I'm going to unmute your line.
No, don't have a question. Thanks, though.
All right, I'm going to unraise everyone's hands. I see people were a little late in responding to my question. I should have cleared it all again. But I think I'll check one more time to see if anybody's raised their hand. I have a question in the question pane here. Judith wants to know if you could elaborate on the engineering course / work early learning college. I don't know if that was to Warren or to Kim. Kim, I think you.
Sure.
To Donna.
Yeah, we referenced, or I referenced in the presentation, a dual enrollment engineering academy. It's a 2-year program that students qualify for in the 11th grade. They do go through a rigorous application program or application process in the 10th grade to be eligible for the program. They go to their high school in the morning. They come to one of our campuses and are enrolled as a full-time student taking 12 or more hours in the afternoon. It is year-round, so they attend programs in the summer, and then it's complemented with really great programs that provide them with applied activities and experiences through field trips and work and learn. Not necessarily paid work, but applied activities.
Great, thanks, Kim. Warren, did you have anything you wanted to add based on that question?
No, we just use a
Donna?
project Lead the Way, and that's something I think akin to what the questioner was asking about.
Okay. I'm sorry, did you want to say a little bit more about that project? Or?
Donna, do you want to tell them a little bit about Project Lead the Way? Someone was asking about engineering.
All right. We began, engineering was a major problem for us in terms of recruitment. And so we wrote a National Science Foundation grant, and part of it was to implement dual credit across our region. And some of the high schools could afford to do it themselves, and in that situation, we work with them and we do professional development for all of the Project Lead the Way teachers, et cetera, and we offer dual credit for instructors that we can credential. The biggest problem, though, were in our poorer high schools and in some of our technology centers where they could not afford to implement Project Lead the Way. And so we started this project, I guess, 5 years ago. We graduated our first cohort last year, and we have on any given year probably about 200 students that are enrolled in a Project Lead the Way course with us. We also offer an institute on our campus in the summer for students that can't take it at our area high school. The Project Lead the Way, if you're familiar with the model, it is a pre-engineering curriculum. We have certified through the Project Lead the Way universities, our university partners. We have 8 instructors on our campus that have all been credentialed to teach the Project Lead the Way curriculum. Taught to our students as well as to theirs. We also use it as a bridge into our engineering technology programs. And we have established a statewide K-16 partnership, and it now transfers to all of our 4-year schools of engineering. So it's been a really good thing for us. It's an expensive program to implement, and we first had a lot of difficulty with it when we were getting the first cohort started. Once I got to the 4th year of the cohort, I had enough students at one of the career centers where we were sending instructors to justify the hiring of a full-time engineering instructor. So it's been one of those things that would have been difficult for us to get started had we not had National Science Foundation, but it's been very helpful.
Great. Thanks so much for those answers. I think we might have one more question, but we want to be really mindful of time and move on here. So, Jan, if you have a question, if you want to email it to me, then I will go or put it in the question pane. I will be sure that the presenters follow up with you. Just moving on, we just wanted to, Achieving the Dream business, reminder that the Walmart Press for Completion RFPs are due on May 11th to Achieving the Dream at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And then we also are continuing to have a call for volunteers at the NISOD conference to be on the panel. Is Dr. Belinda Miles on the phone? If so, do you want to raise your hand, Belinda, and I'll unmute you to talk about the, great. Go ahead, Belinda, you're unmuted.
Hi, you can see the topics there. We're looking for people to serve on a panel to talk about the acceleration initiatives that are taking place at their institutions. We'd love to have those, even if we'd like to have the scalable models shared with others, but we are interested also in successful pilots that we can talk about bringing to scale. So we'd like to have about 3 or 4 panelists that will share their best practices and the information and the data that they've been able to garner from based on their experiences, and then break out into roundtable sessions to take a deeper dive into what it would look like and feel like to implement these types of initiatives at your respective campuses. We're really excited to see the participation by faculty who have already signed up for the session, but we need to firm up the panel, so we'd love to hear from you.
Great. Thanks, Belinda. So you can see the contact information there. If anyone's interested, please get in touch with Belinda. And then finally, we just wanted to make sure that you all knew about the announcement of the new 2012 cohort that has come to Achieving the Dream. So you can see the list of colleges there. And then real quick, just the next Leader College call will be on Thursday, June 7th at 12:30 p.m. The topic will be on the Common Core standards and how they will affect community colleges. And I would just ask you all to look out for a short survey about the Common Core that we will be sending out to make sure that we really address what you all are interested in hearing about. And we're almost done with the call, but I would like to do our ending poll. So this is just where we ask you how wonderful the presentation was and how much you loved it. So if you could please select all that apply.
We especially liked all the technology that you used today, Sarah.
And thank you for your patience in my learning process. All right. About half of you have voted. Wait a little bit longer. And it looks like we're almost there. I'm going to give it another second. Okay. And as I said, thank you for your patience with me on the poll. There we go. And there's the poll results. So it looks like that this call was pretty informative, and please continue to let us know topics that are useful for you all in terms of these monthly calls. So with that, do you want to say a few words in closing, Carol?
I will. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much for doing this. I know this was not an easy job. We've had big shoes to step into. Mary Cipollone has really mastered this. You're following along just fine, so don't worry. You'll be doing just great. I just wanted to say that on this topic today, the K-12 readiness issues, really, leader colleges in particular have been the ones that have been advancing this issue. When we first started Achieving the Dream, we thought that all the emphasis of the work that we needed to do had to happen at the college level, because we didn't want colleges to be using the K-12 experience as the excuse for why things weren't working as well as they could for students. And I just want to congratulate the presenters today, as well as the others of you who pushed back at us way in the early days and said, wait a minute, we can't solve all the issues we've got unless we start building stronger alliances with our K-12 colleagues. And I think these two colleges that presented today have figured out some of the important secrets to engaging in that kind of collaboration without pointing fingers, without making people feel as if their hard work is not appreciated and unvalued. So thanks to all of you for pushing on that issue. I will stop talking at that point. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you. Do let your colleagues know about next month's call on core standards. I think this is something we're all trying to get smarter about. It should be a very valuable call. So thank you. Have a great afternoon. We'll be talking to you soon. Bye-bye.